Hello and welcome to the Crone Zone. I'm Lynn. We've covered 62 cards so far. That's the whole of the major arcana and all of the minor arcana cards except for the court cards. So that is the pages, knights, queens, and kings of each suit. They total 16 cards, and the next couple of lessons we're going to be exploring them and how we can interpret them in readings. The court cards can be a little tricky, and that's why often they're the last thing that we learn, the last thing that we come to. In the past, in a rather more fortune telling mode of tarot, the court cards, like the Queen of Cups here, were always taken as actual people in the querent's life. So, the Queen of Cups, for instance, would be a blonde, very helpful, kind, mature woman that you knew of, very motherly figure. And other cards, other decks, did this even more extremely. So, for instance, I've got here the Grand Italier Egyptian Gypsies Tarot. And if we look at the court cards there and give you an example here, we've got a rather formidable looking Queen of Swords. And it says on the card two possible interpretations. She is someone in your life, someone you're meeting, someone who's giving you hassle, and she either represents widowhood, seems very specific, or in a reverse possession, she is a malicious woman. Well, my approach to the tarot is not to nail things down in quite that way. And although I think it's possible for court cards to be actual people in our lives, that is one level that we can take them on, I actually think that there's so much more than that, much more interesting than that. And also that they provide a rather important bridge for us between the two decks, that is, between the major and minor arcana. There are many approaches to tarot. I can only tell you what works for me. It may work for you, or you may choose another approach. But for me, the best way to interpret the court cards, most often, is to see them as disembodied qualities, modes of operation, a sequence of personality traits, of approaches to situations and events that need embodying, that we can adopt and be like. So, psychological traits, seeking embodiment. And yes, sometimes we'll find that embodiment exampled in another person in our life. But it may also be a characteristic we need to develop. So, in this way, the court cards can show us this is your strength. This is fantastic. Here's where you're really strong and capable and can go ahead in this mode. And here's where you have a little deficit. Here's where perhaps you need to develop a little. Or here's where another approach might serve you better in a given situation. Let's look a little then in this very general introduction today to the court cards. Tarot cards evolved out of early gaming cards. And as well as playing and gambling with the cards, people use them for fortune telling as a focus. And the minor arcana follows the patterns of these earlier decks. It's actually quite a bit older than the major arcana, which is a more recent addition. Until Pamela Coleman Smith created the images for the pip cards on the Minor Arcana, it was very like standard playing cards. And the only cards which supported an image were the court cards. We don't live in a medieval model of society from which the idea of a tarot court with knights and kings and queens emerged. But another name for the courts is the face cards. And I think this is a helpful name because these are energies that require, demand even, a face. They need to be grounded and embodied and acted out. And yet another problem with always associating the court cards with real people is that we can misinterpret them as being about gender, and they really aren't. So it may be that as a female, I need to embody the qualities of one of the kings for a particular aspect of my life, or something that I'm trying to bring into being, or a stand that I need to make. I may need the king type energy. And similarly, a man may need to operate in the more initiating energy of a queen in order to accomplish most successfully what he is trying to develop. It's no more true, actually, that they're necessarily always tied with age either, which is another traditional way of looking at them. It can be much more about deficits and strengths that we have. So, for instance, in one area, you may be an absolutely fiery king of wands, absolute mastery of your suit. And in another, you might be wet behind the ears, Page of Cups, just starting out learning about that aspect, that suit. Often we have a dominant mode, so we might be a thinking person or a feeling person or an intuitive inspired person or a sensational earthy based person. But the ideal is to blend all of the suits: earth, air, fire, and water, swords, wands, cups, and pentacles, as in a most holistic way that we can. That's the way towards wholeness. So let's carry on looking at the cards. The pages, like the aces, are the compass of the tarot because they tell us exactly where and in which suit we're working. Is it the world of the mind and communication represented by the swords? Or the world of will and inspiration and aspiration of the wands? Or the creative, intuitive, relationship-based world of the cups? Or the physical realm of the senses shown by the pentacles? The pages are linked to the magician. They are the beginning of the action, the seed being planted, an immature energy. The knights relate to the chariot. They're about challenge, about the action of getting things done, developing through challenge, getting the show on the road. The queens relate to the empress. They are enthroned like her. They operate like the empress within their different elements. They're about growth and creativity, nurturing, developing, initiating. They are portals for the energy. The kings operate in the mode of the emperor within their suits. They fix the energy, stabilize it, protect it, and hold its power. So, whether we are male or female, if we wish to create something, if we wish to develop it, to initiate it and nurture it and bring it forward, then we're looking to a queen energy. Similarly, be we male or female, if we have mastered something, if we have established ourselves thoroughly and securely within that, then we're displaying a king energy. And supposing we were return at a later stage in life to study, maybe the university of the third age. Doesn't matter how old I am, if I return as a novice to a completely new topic, then I am a page. I am just starting out. And talking of pages, let's have another look at them now. I think it's useful at this point to differentiate between the aces and the pages. Both come under the auspices of the magician, and we recall that the magician has the symbols of each of the four suits upon his table. Both the aces and the pages are about seeding and beginnings. If we look, for instance, for example's sake, at the Ace of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, we can consider what differentiates them and their messages when we get them in a reading. I think it's all in the hands. In the Ace of Pentacles, as with other aces, the suit symbol is offered by a ghostly or angelic hand. It is non-physical, it's without substance. When we come to the Page of Pentacles, the pentacle is held firmly by the page's hand and presented by the page to us. As a general group, irrespective of their suits, all pages are associated with the earth element generally. And that really fits here because this energy, in passing from the disembodied ace to the hand of the page, the energy has become embodied. It has a face. With the ace, it's as if the offering, the energy, is hovering, disembodied, waiting to be picked up in our energy field. It's all around us. But the page plucks it down. With the page, it has landed, it has reached the earth, and it's in human hands, awaiting human action and agency. There we have a short introduction to the court cards, the many phases of the Fool, as I've called this video. There's an awful lot more to say about each one of them, possible meanings, interpretations, etc. So we'll look at that in the upcoming lessons. And so I'll just say goodbye for now. Thank you.